I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Comando,
Present.
Mr. Buford, President, Mr. Buick,
Present.
Mr. Mugito,
Present.
Mr. Quinn, Ms. Sanchez, Mrs. Scanafranco, Ms. Singh, present, Mrs. Zarrell.
Present. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Flags back here. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, 1975. Superintendent?
Thank you, Madam President. Ray, I would like you to introduce our special guest tonight so that he can make his presentation to the board.
So we have Mr. Paul Wirtz from Wirtz, Vincent Higgins, who conducts our annual audit. We give a presentation on the 2014-15 school year.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm here to present, as we do annually, the audit for the Saddlebrook School District fiscal year 2015. The audit that was received was an unmodified opinion, and that is a clean opinion. That's the opinion that every Board of Education in the state of New Jersey is striving for. So that's certainly good news. What I'll do is I'll give a brief description as to what transpired. We'll talk a little bit about surplus. We have some comments and recommendations here, but really mostly benign that are less to go over in some detail. And if any board members have questions, but we'll be stopping. So the largest of two reports is the comprehensive annual financial report. And this comprehensive financial report has various sections to it. One, the most important is the opinion, and it has a management discussion and analysis component. Of course, it has a financial statement, footnotes, and it also has the statistical information, which gives demographic information, typically over a 10-year period, and finally, we'll have a single audit section. Saddlebrook Board of Education was subject to a single audit, but it really means that if you expend either federal or state dollars in excess of $500,000, you become subject to what we call a single audit, which simply means that now, as the auditing firm, we are now required to go ahead and audit specific grant compliance for those some of those expenditures. So it becomes a little more in depth. This year, we were subject to a federal and we were subject to a state. And we have actually one of our comments in one of the federal programs. So, having said that, what I would like to do is just go over some of the surplus for the board. And I'm going to look at page, if you have it great, if not, it's not a big deal. Page 70 of the larger report. Page 70 is as a budgetary comparison schedule. General operating fund. And there's an analysis of the revenues and your expenditures, as well as the budget actual values. Let me give you a history of what happened in the year. And if I look at page 70 on the actual column, you can see that at the end of the year with an excess of revenues over expenditures of $739,169. So it's really positive. So we added surplus. We added surplus from the beginning of the $1,097,000 to a new total surplus of fund equity of $1,833,927. This total surplus is comprised of various components. In the state of New Jersey, Board of Education are only allowed to retain 2% of their expenditures, plus or minus of adjustments, as free balance. So when we look at this particular schedule, again, if you look at unassigned fund balance, I'll just kind of work my way up the ladder here. Unassigned fund balance of $623,781. That represents your 2% plus or minus these adjustments. Next, we have assigned fund balances. We have the hour money, which just can't do it, it's just reserved for the federal government. And then we have year-end encumbrances of $86,200. Simply means goods and services which were ordered but did not conform with the prime example would be our accounting firm. Education contracted with the accounting firm back in May. Typically, that's we do back in May. Certainly, we couldn't perform any of the services until after the year end. So it's a reservation of equity. And that's an example of what makes up the $86,000. And then we're back into now what I'm going to identify as the restricted fund balances. The first one here, again, working up the bottom up, is capital reserve. Capital reserve is money that's set aside by Board of Education for the intended purpose of utilizing them for facility improvements, which are all part of the loan and facility plan. Now, this particular year, the board increased that balance by $500,000 in June. So we were somewhere around $350,000. Now we're at $851,000 in capital reserve. And then that brings us to our final component. So as we go through and fill up all those various buckets, anything that's in excess of the remaining balance goes into a bucket identified as excess surplus. Excess surplus simply means that we max out those other components. This is the amount of money that's going to go back to the voters, the taxpayers, tax relief, when we do your 16-17 budget. When we were here last year presenting to it, we had no excess surplus. And that's just the distinction between the two. So financially, you're getting in better shape here. We're adding more money into the capital. Now you're at $850,000 in capital. You actually created some excess surplus. So certainly positive things. And these are the kind of things you want to see in the future. I'm going to talk about the comments and recommendations, and then I'm going to come back to one other topic. I want to just want to talk briefly about GASB 68 and the pension reporting requirements. And I think it's quite interesting. But I'm going to go right now to the smaller two reports. And this is a report that is really dictated format by the state of New Jersey. And it really directs what needs to be audited and what were the results of those specific audit areas. And that's why when you go through this particular report, you can pick any other report out in the state of New Jersey, they're going to look very similar in format. So what do we have here? We have basically three comments that they would report here. The first one deals with the extraordinary aid application. This was considered a major program, as I said before, it was subject to a single audit as far as your state and federal. And this is the state program. And a major program is any program that expends over $300,000. So this one actually just got over $300,000 and that's why it's being selected as a major program. Because it means we have to dive into the program and test the various compliance components. And we have some exceptions here. Generally, what we're saying is that when this extraordinary application is formed, and really it's an application that the Board of Education does, when you report to the state of New Jersey, where you have excessive costs with dealing with special ed out of district for the most part. You can't have it as well. So it's really anything where you're spending more than $40,000 on an individual student, you get the report from the report to the state that comes up with some kind of funding formula based upon all the applicants in the state of New Jersey, depending upon dollars available. So we get some kind of portion back as a revenue. When doing that, as part of the application, of course, you've got to make sure we have all the proper backup. We didn't always have all the proper backup that's supported the application. We did find most of it at the end, but when we completed, still we had some instances where tuition contracts are not being supported with the application. We have additional costs that are also sometimes applicable to these student costs, and they all need to be supported right behind the application. The next item is new. What's not new is the reimbursement. What happens is that the state of New Jersey pays the TPA at the pension entitlement for the teachers. And these teachers, some of these teachers are being subsidized. When I say subsidized, being charged to federal programs. And if I have salaries of TPA employees that are being charged back to the federal programs, we need to reimburse the state of New Jersey because they paid on our behalf on those people in business. So they're just getting reimbursed basically from the federal funds for the most part. Before this year, the business administrators would have to wait until the audit was completed. The auditor would have to sign off on the certification saying that the numbers were correct. This year they changed that. And so they basically eliminated us from the process. And they have a timeline for the VAs, and the timeline is generally 90 days, 60 to 90 days. That wasn't done, so that's why I decided payment was made, but it wasn't made within that time of period. And speaking with the VA, I understand that this was due. I think it was waiting for my approval, and that never came. It changed the process. So it's just a simple procedural issue. Again, nothing earth shattering. We have one finding here that's not a recommendation because it deals with the food service program. It's dealing with net cash resources. Net cash resources in the food service program deal specifically with federally funded programs. So we see reimbursement for some of the well-reduced meals that we're serving through the federal government. And when we do that, again, there's other regulations and requirements. So what they're saying is that we can't hold too much of our food service receipts directly above and beyond this threshold. So in their minds, this threshold really averages to about 3 months of your average expenditures. So if you exceed that, then you have to write this up in the report because from their perspective, a couple things can happen, and you either have to reduce your cost of meals, provide services, or make improvements. So it's in here because we exceeded that value, but I know that the board is currently in the process, it really was in the process from last year, of doing some HVAC improvements within the cafeteria. We'll also allow the charges, and so what's going to happen is that once that process goes through the system, we're going to use some of this equity here, and that's going to reduce our net cash resources. So to me, it's a finding because it has to be a finding, but it's not no recommendation. And the last thing deals with student activities. I will say student activities are sometimes tough to get your hand around. Very common, board comments and recommendations. They're generally done outside of the business office, these activities. So what do I have? We have in high school, there were numerous reimbursements to individuals who utilize their personal credit cards for student activity costs. We just think it's not a good practice to utilize your personal credit cards and then being reimbursed. Some of these were for shirts, uniform reimbursements, girls' tennis uniform reimbursements, buses. Again, it's not a good practice, and everything should go through the voucher system. And if we have to make an exception, then I think we have to set up some control parameters to make sure that we have multiple signatures and multiple people approving it before we just go ahead and go through that kind of process. We had some checks where we were missing VA signatures, and we had 2 that we had no signatures. Again, not a lot, just some out there. Kelly Smith, we had cash disbursements where there were 4 check request forms that lacked the teacher's approval signatures. Again, this is a process we're talking about the disbursement process. We're always looking to have proper controls. The controls are really either 2 or 3 signatures on every disbursement that's being made. And so what we're just reporting to you is the lack of some of those controls. Controls is, as we need X, and sometimes we don't have it. We do go through, we do scan a lot of this, so we're trying to look at almost all of these disbursements and some of them when we're talking about student activities. And we had 1 check that was payable to cash, and we had no supporting invoices. This was Saber Banner. I don't know what Saber Banner is, but
Which school was it?
Smith.
Nice going. Okay. It's been resolved.
It's in the chat. It's there.
So again, just common business practice, it's just a policy that's established in the long school. What do we have in the long school? We had some deposits not being made on time, so we're also looking to safeguard assets. So as we collect money, we want to safeguard it is really deposit that time. We had one time was a month old, so it was collecting more, it's not depositing until April. We had several checks that only had 1 authorized signatures, basically ate up during the 3-month period that we looked at. And then there were several cash disbursements that lacked the check request, and that was really only the month on May. So not terrible, common like I said before, it's not as easy to get your hands around these student activities. So those are the comments that I have. Again, nothing very chatty. We've done very well from a business office perspective. These last two boards, these are not really anything that I'd be concerned about. You should be feeling comfortable that the board is doing one way. I want to talk a little bit about GASB 68. So GASB 68 is really to do what the standard three the issue this year, really what it was about, it's about trying to create transparency for state and local governments. In the sense that really what we're trying to do is build pension liabilities. We all know that we have reports of some of the cities around the country that are having issues where they're not meeting their pension requirements and collapse. So this was a national standard that basically said that what we're going to do is we're going to try to report what that total liability is on your financial statements, and really for the country. So everybody in the country now is going to be reporting pension. So the state of New Jersey procured through the Division of Pensions a contractor to come out and do these calculations. They were supposed to be out back in August. It was delayed until September. It was delayed until October. I think we wound up getting the numbers somewhere around November 13th, something like that. And they're really quite staggering when you look at these numbers. So what happens is, and I'm just going to look at if you have the report rate, that doesn't really matter, but on page 73. So the pension numbers that really coming up, they're really trying to determine what's the total liability for each district in the state of New Jersey. And it's only PRF, not now we call it the PPAF plan. So we're only talking about public employees. Now for a school board, it's really typically custodial administrative. So it's a very small fraction of the total number of employees you have. So they hired this firm, they went through, they calculated who's still collecting pensions, who's in the system now, what was life expectancy be, what was the rate of returns be, and they come up with what they think total liability is. So if we would stop today and we would go no further, how much money would we have to put in the bank or put into the pension system to fund our share, which you do? Because every year the Salary Board of Education makes a payment to the state of New Jersey through your PRS contribution. You're responsible for that. So what we had to do is when we found these numbers and we were given these numbers, we had to book a liability of $7,264,000 for your financial statement. And that's just the PRS side. So that's a new liability that's being recorded in financial statements. The TPAF number that's not being reported on the financial statements because by statute, the state of New Jersey is legally responsible for the teacher side of the pension. We're not responsible as a board. We're not responsible. Those numbers, these are really staggering. So on the teacher side, this is just salary, this is not the state of New Jersey. It's $67,404,000. This is the teachers who are still collecting. Now, one more kind of interesting note, and I find this interesting, maybe not as well. So, as I indicated, the state of New Jersey is responsible for the TPAF side. So, what happens? The state of New Jersey makes a contribution payment to the Division of Pensions, and then they send every Board of Education a debit credit memo, for lack of a better term, and they start to book this as an on-behalf payment. So really what we have to do is, whatever they make on our behalf, we book it as an expense on our behalf. So they book a value. Now the actuarial team, these guys and they determine what the true funding should be on an annual basis for every district. Okay? This is going to affect how it's good. Well, right now we're just going to get it. So the state of New Jersey makes a payment on your behalf to the TPAF side of $675,000. The actuarial amount that they should have made if they were fully funded the TPAF side was $3,627,000. So they were short just in 1 year, just in salary of $2,952,000. So they're staggering numbers. And what's coming in 2017 is the OPEB side of it, which is really going to be the health benefit side. Right now, we're just seeing this PRF. teacher side of it. But now what we're going to find out in 2017, we're going to have to report with the health benefit long-term liability. I'm sure that's going to not even want that, but I'm sure it's going to
Is any of that useful information to the district, or how does it compare to other districts as far as the payments and the liabilities that we have in that area?
Yeah, well, there's, you can go right on the Division of Pensions website, and the report that was prepared by KPMG is available to everyone. So really, that's the data that we need to see. It has every single Board of Ed in every single town. And so it depends on the size of the community. By your number of employees, it's really what it's about. Covered payrolls really have to go through the calculation. Some big numbers. But from a budgetary perspective, because I don't want to scare everybody, but from a budgetary perspective, you're going to continue to make that PRS required payment. Right now, PPAF is on a state. Will that ever change? I don't know. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
I
you.
have a question, I'm sorry. Sure.
Bill, you have a question?
Something you mentioned earlier about applications and you were missing some documents to support it, transportation aid and special services. Can you piggyback on that? Where is, if there's certain documents that are missing, is there on our end, there's a,
Yeah, that's also what happens is part of, figure it this way, we're going to create this application. We've got all these students with all these costs now that are exceeding the $40,000. So as part of the audit process and the requirements, that every single student that's listed on that application that you're requesting funding on, you've got to have a backup there. It's got to be attached. So you've got to have a contract, you've got to have any additional costs, could be 1.8, could be anything. So all of these things need to be supported as part of the application process. And there was a lapse in that.
I have a question going back to the student activity fund and athletic account. Do you know who's using their personal, was it the actual coaches or was it parents?
I don't have it with me today, but I do know. I went to make sure I went back into the work papers today before I came here, just try to get a feel for what the uses were for. But as far as the specifics as to who,
They do have like a PO system when it comes to
the student activity accounts, they're all club events here at the high school, so the advisors, sometimes to expedite the purchase, use the credit cards. It was all substantiated, there's all invoices, everything was backed up.
So it's basically
They're just saying
bad
you're not-
practice, but
Right.
there was no
So if they-
issues with anything.
Yeah, so like if Mr. Rich was
yeah,
one was a
we're not
bus.
saying they weren't allowable expenses or
Right.
reimbursements. Yeah, no,
That's-
we're just saying that the
It's
process.
that.
Yeah, we shouldn't be using our own personal credit cards. I mean, I think that
And I would hate to see our teachers and our
Play money
coaches
out.
having to lay money out
Right.
anyway.
I think what's happening these days, because I'm seeing it more and more now, everything's online, right? So, so it was like, wow, I can get it cheaper and quicker online, I'm just gonna charge it, and, when I get the bill back, I just reimburse me. But, I think it still has to continue to be the exception. Great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to Rick for keeping the books proper for how many years?
Yeah, good. Excellent. Going on Wednesday night, Christine Steiner and Rob Lehman will give you a report on the park testing here. So they put that together for you. And also on Wednesday night, the Saddlebrook Education Foundation will be here to make some grant award presentations. And so that'll be done during the first part of the meeting on that evening. Also in your packets, we left the middle school news paper. So you got an edition that went out in December that you can take a look at. And also I left for each of you, hadn't seen the paper, there was a nice article in the paper on that donation from Arrow that was in the newspaper. Also, I mentioned to you as a board that I'm reviewing and looking at the websites. It's been indicated to me by numerous administrators that the website, the process that we have set up right now, was from they don't know how to do it. It's very difficult, or it's very tedious. One person says, I know how to do it because I was in my previous district, I had to do it, but agreed that it's very tedious. Me being technology literate, if I'm concerned about it, it must be an issue because you're trying to keep it updated. And you want to have it user-friendly, and you want to have the ability for your principals, your athletic directors, et cetera, to be able to change that on a daily basis or at least on a weekly basis. I had nothing to do one day, and I guess that's the problem they all have with me here. So I started to look at the websites, and I got concerned because the information was up there. It was from August, September, October. And I'm not a rocket scientist, but a normal person would take a look and say, my God, if they do that, what else is going on in the school? And there's no correlation, because you could have everything up to date and the place could be burning, but the community will be happy. So I did say to everybody, I want the HIB scores up because that had to be done by law. And I wanted you to take all this. I sent out an email to the principals, and I said, I want you to take down all the stuff in August, September, and October. I want it updated immediately. Which then I spoke to Sonia about something else, and she was laughing. She said, well, that's why I got those 10 emails yesterday, because they all begged her to come down to help them get the changes. And so I said, is it really that tedious? And she says, yes, it is. So we set up a meeting for January 19th with school wires. That's what I used to change in Rochelle Park, and in Norwood we went to school wires, which is very user-friendly. I spent about 20 minutes today trying to figure out where the teacher websites were. Some had said teacher website. The first one I went to, it said that I needed to apply for an account to get into a teacher's website. And I just said, this is amazing. And then I went to another place, another school, and the websites are under the teachers' names. And then I went to another school. There's no consistency. And it should be very easy access into it. Now, once you get into these things, there's two great things about technology. One is immediate feedback. One is constant communication. That's all great stuff. The nightmare is you got to maintain it. Because if you don't maintain it, then it's useless. So there's a double whammy here that I'm dealing with. One is I don't think the system that you have is the system you want. And number two, though, once I get that corrected with your support, then everybody's got to have to maintain it, which I'll follow up on. And that becomes a big asset because all parents want is information. I mean, you can if you maintain your website and you maintain the teachers maintain their website, and some teachers are phenomenal, and then there's other teachers that wouldn't be able to find a website. So that type of stuff, you then really don't need these boards outside your school keeping up these things where the custodian goes out with the letters. I mean, if you were going to go do the boards, you might as well go electric, but you really don't need them because if you get the websites going, that's the instant information you want. If I come back to you next month, the increase would be for the whole entire district, either $7,500 or $8,000 for the entire district, which would give immediate access to all your administrators using it, your athletic director, etc. So I will report back to you after we have this meeting. All the principals have been invited, the supervisors, the athletic director. So a presentation will be made on that day, and I'll be getting back to you with a recommendation, most likely in February, for your response. Under the agenda items, the student services or the special ed changes for the month. Administration under B, you've got to approve the following fire and security drills for the month of December. 6 secondary school students were suspended by the building principal. C is important. We have to pass this resolution on Wednesday, and I take that resolution with me and Christine Steiner and Rob Lehman. The three of us have a meeting with the county superintendent and the educational specialist Thursday down at the Bergen County Education Office regarding finalizing the CUSAC process. But one of the documents we have to bring is just a board resolution for Wednesday night approving these adjustments to meet what they want. Business and board travel is the list of staff members that are going to different conferences. Texpo should be real good for Rob Lehman because he has to ensure that our science standards are up to date beginning this coming September, because that's mandatory. There's a change in the curriculum for that. And anytime you've got down anti-bullying specialist certificate program, they have to go to continue to be certified regarding that. Under 2, you've got field trips. I guess they're going to Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. Maybe there's a picture. I think I'm in one of those wax museum aspects. So I want to see if the special ed kids can pick me out. Then you're going to accept the 2014-15 comprehensive annual financial report. And the corrective, that's what Paul talked about tonight, the audit, and then also the corrective action plan. And Ray is excited. He's going to be appointed as the public agency compliance officer for the 216. He brought me donuts today to thank me. Then you're going to, number 6 is approve the school facility use request for December. The policies we've already done, so you're doing the second reading for all of those policies. Madam President, we'll go into closed session on the personnel, but that's what I have to report.
To the chair, I have a question. In regards to section B, the administration, where it has all of the drills,
Yeah.
I know that we have to meet a certain number of drills. Do each of these have to be done each month? Because
No.
some schools didn't do it, like Franklin didn't do a shelter in place.
There's different ones, Kim. You have to do, there's a total amount that you have, you do 1 fire drill a month and 1 security drill a month. And in the 10 security drills that you do, there's, I don't have it in front of me, but it might be 2 lockdown, it might be 2 evacuate. There are, you have to do a certain amount to meet that. And that report then is kept by the district in case if the county office wanted to take a look at it.
Thank you.
There is a report that's emailed to the county office that lists the dates, the time the drill took, the weather. It's pretty specific, and then you list what you had to put down.
And I just have another question. This goes back to when I first got on the board. I brought it up. I felt that it was a very important issue. I used to substitute in town, and I found that a lot of times the principal of the school was letting the staff know when the drill was going to be. And I understand you get your coats and sometimes it's cold. However, I really feel that it's so important to really have an unplanned, unannounced drill so that we are ensured that our staff has a unified way of getting out of the building, and you know, that's how you find out where you may need a little bit of tweaking and whatnot. That's the purpose of the drill.
I agree with you 1,000%. Wherever I've gone, as I don't allow announced drills. Meeting with your timing of your comments couldn't be better because I'm meeting with all the administrators Wednesday. I will tell you, it's gotten me into a little hot water with different advocate groups. When I was the principal of Northern Valley, we had a fire drill at 1:15, and the teens and tots parent, because we had a preschool program in there, came flying in furious because the kids had just fallen asleep and we woke them. And so I assured her that if there was ever a fire then between 1 and 3, we would quietly go out and let the kids lay there and get through their sleep. She did not appreciate that response. But what I was trying to say is that's life. In other words, what I will tell the staff, and I'll do it through the principals on Wednesday, wherever I've been, is I always say we will never have a fire drill or any type of drill during lunch because of all the turmoil. However, if the fire alarm goes off, or we go on the system, say a lockdown or evacuate, you better move because we didn't do it. And so therefore, it's either a false alarm, let's hope, or get out. So that's the trade-off on that particular situation. But I do agree. And when I was at Rochelle Park, they had a drill they did once every other year, which is pretty impressive, was the evacuation drill where they were going to move the kids away from the school up to the Borough Hall, which was a nice ride. And then they told me, but the buses will be there about a half hour ahead of time. I said, what buses? And they said, well, the buses to drive the kids up there. So I said, oh, you got that good a bus company. You know, you got an evacuation drill. They'll be there in 5 minutes. Well, no, they're about a half hour away. I said, then why are buses going to be here? Well, the parents will complain their kids have to walk. I said, well, then let the parents complain because we're walking. I mean, I agree. You have to make the drill real. Some of your staff members and others are going to complain. The vast majority understand and will cooperate fully. But I totally agree, and I will make sure that that's conveyed Wednesday.
Now, do we have a plan in place if, God forbid, something should happen during lunch? Because that really could become chaotic.
Well, let me answer that this way. And I'm going to look at them. I asked today, so I'll take a look at it. Every school has to have a crisis management plan. And in the crisis management plan, there has to be certain criteria that are there. When you allow bureaucrats to get involved, or you allow educators to get involved, most plans blow up. Because educators want to make sure they cross every T and dot every I. And the bureaucrats are worse. When you get involved with the FBI, the county SWAT team, they're all well intended. The state has a plan that every school is supposed to put together. And in the plan, they're supposed to have responses to everything known to mankind. Tornado. What is Saddlebrook going to do if there's a tornado? What is Saddlebrook going to do if there's a plane crash in Saddlebrook? What is Saddlebrook supposed to do if the wasps get out of control someplace? Hazmat. I mean, it's amazing. And if you look at it, you say, oh, that's impressive. I am the firm belief you only need to know a couple of things. You're either going to have an evacuation, you're going to have a lockdown, and you're going to have a fire drill, which is a little bit different than evacuation. That's the only thing you know. Keep it simple, stupid, and get that right. The teachers should not be involved in anything but their kids. And so your crisis management team should be the administrators, secretaries, nurse, anyone that's not responsible for teachers. And then that crisis management team has responsibilities. We will be showing the active shooter situation. Video, I just set that up today. We have a half day on February 8th, so the entire staff is going to come up to the auditorium here, and I'll present that. That's important. Bergen County Prosecutor Molinelli put that together, and it's pretty impressive. I don't know if the teachers have seen that, but it's time to go over it again. The toughest thing in dealing with that one is to tell the teachers, which is very difficult, that in a lockdown, once you lock your door, you don't open it. And if there's a second grade kid there screaming, you don't open it. You tell them to run or you don't say anything. That's tough. That has to be. When we did this first at Northern Valley, I had high school teachers coming down to me for half hour, 45-minute meetings. They don't know if they could stay in the profession. And I said to them, well, open the door, and if that shooter's there, and you give access and 6, 7 kids get killed, the parents of the kid you tried to help will be appreciative, and the other 6 parents will sue you for millions of dollars because they'll get attorneys saying the law says don't open the door. So your opening the door is negligence because you allowed my child to get killed. They're not going to say thank you for being compassionate. That's a tough one. So dealing with that. An evacuation drill is different than a fire drill. Fire drill is an assigned area and assigned place to go. An evacuation drill, each administration, each building should have 2 or 3 or 4 places that they're going to go. And that should not be told to the staff. Imagine when I mention that to the staff wherever I've been, it's the same thing. Why not? We're professionals. My answer is you're better off not to know. Paducah, Kentucky, was a 6th grade shooting where the 2 6th graders knew on the fire drill where everybody went. So one 6th grader pulled the alarm and the other 6th grader waited in the woods and killed 6, 12, or 13 of their fellow students when they came out. All of your emphasis on security is thinking the enemy is from without, from outside. The enemy is from within. You look at the number of cases that have taken place regarding shootings and so forth, it's always student against student or student against teacher. And everyone gets concerned about the people coming in from the outside. That happened in the Amish shooting. Now, why do I know all this? Because I don't do anything else? No. It's because of what I went through personally in my life. And also, I always review every shooting case. What would I have done as principal? What would I have done as superintendent? What did they do? Did I agree or disagree? It's almost like a debriefing as it's going on, trying to say, that makes sense, that, oh, I didn't think of that, and then maybe I'd get back to some people. Or, no, I would never do that type of thing. And I think it's a good time to review with the administrators, where are we? I did speak to one of the principals. They said, we just go to the same spot each time. And I said, we're going to change that. That has to change. So where you're going to go, I don't know. But the situation is you can't, because if you're constantly drilling, then if unfortunately, you've got a dysfunctional child or a dysfunctional student, then they'll know where you go. And then so they plan accordingly. Why is that important? After Columbine, I started to look, and I said to myself, I think there's 5 or 6 kids in this high school that fit the profile of those 2 kids that did all the shooting in Columbine. And the next day, the director of guidance came in, who was very close to me. I said, John, can you think of any kids that might fit that profile? He said, yeah. I said, why don't we both write them down and see how close we came? And both of us had 4 of the 6. And I said, now what do we do with that? We do absolutely nothing with that. Because I always laugh when these so-called experts, well, the school's got to do more. The professionals have to step up more. If we went to those 6 parents and said, we think your child fits this profile, 2 parents would have thanked us and said, I'm going to get help for my kid. 4 parents are Philadelphia lawyers. They're going to sue the hell out of us, and we're going to lose. So I always smile when I hear after all these things, the experts come on TV, well, the school didn't, they showed all these symptoms. They showed all these signs. Yeah, you go tell the parent we think that your kid's going to shoot somebody. I don't think it'll be well received. But what we need to do is put our system together to help our kids. When you talk about Newtown, they did everything right. That principal was a hero. The teacher, the 1st grade teacher, the kids. I mean, you think about it. The freaking guy had an AK-47. I mean, you can put up all your security you want here. I always smile when I see this stuff. And when I see certain schools, they got retired cops. They don't have any guns. They're going to greet you and say, welcome in. I don't get it. But you can put in all the security you want. I think it's a lot of waste of money. But that's just me personally speaking. But you want to try to show that you're doing the best that you can. So you're 1,000% right, Kim, and I'll work on that Wednesday and follow up.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Committee reports? Budget? Buildings and grounds? Curriculum? Negotiations? Steve? Policy?
Policy, I will probably be emailing you, Bert. I think just regarding the audit from tonight, that maybe we need to sit down and maybe revisit putting some policies in place so that, we try to eliminate as much as possible, I guess.
We can talk.
Any correspondence?
Ray, I don't know, do we have any correspondence, Ray?
Old business. New business?
I think that's right.
New business?
Look at that, it's this distribution of budget calendar, someone put in? Okay.
Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Residents are requested to state their names, address, and subject matter. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 45 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 5 minutes duration. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. Anyone wishing to be heard?
Hi, Jennifer Marie, 400 Big Saddle Road. I just want the board to consider maybe going back to the old way of hiring substitute teachers. I've heard complaints from teachers in the district about the quality of subs they're receiving through this system, and how they have no say in requesting who is in their classroom, and how specific subs have to be kind of banned from a school as opposed to just them not getting a certain one in their classroom again. I think it was better when we had people that were local, that cared about our children. I know it was a little bit of a burden and someone having to have that job to make the calls, and it was a little bit more convenient. But I think when it comes to having people who are in the classrooms, who should be in the classroom, as opposed to the person sitting at home and the first one to receive it when it pops into the system, is something to look at.
Thanks, Jen.
Lisa Mackin, 583 Elm Avenue. I just wanted to talk about here, we're going to be having a meeting on Wednesday with the administrators on evacuations and fire drills, and you mentioned not having them at lunchtime. I understand that, but is there a way, two administrators prior at Walk School, we used to do, because I used to be a lunch person there, we used to do just fire drills, evacuation drills, lockdown drills, just for the lunch program. We had a emergency lockdown and an emergency evacuation that were real. And if we didn't practice those drills here and there, I don't think the lunch ladies would know what to do. The kids are in a panic. I mean, we were locked under tables. I had first and second graders there for roaming at 2 hours. And some of the lunch ladies were like, oh, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go look after them. No. And some of them that were new didn't know that. And if we didn't practice it, the little administrator would just have us line up and just walk outside the building and just stand out there. Just lunch. It wasn't even a whole school. Just to get into a routine. At that point, we were eating in our gymnasium. Nobody knew where to put the kids if we had a problem. And then we ended up having a problem. And one of them was my daughter. And the whole third grade at the time, they had to walk on stage, but nobody would know what to do if we didn't have any kind of game practice.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing how there's none, motion to close.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
To the chair, and maybe this is old business, I don't know. Is it possible to revisit response time or just responding to people when they come up and speak or ask questions instead of waiting until you go to close. I mean, I know sometimes it can be beneficial, but a lot of times they're just very simple questions and there might be a little bit of dialogue back and forth and then they have to come back and, if they wanted to comment on something.
Well, since I've been here, I've been responding to everybody. So I don't know that, I can't respond tonight because, first of all, I don't even know anything about the subs. So for me to respond, and you look great. And the other comment, which is I respect, was as a result of me saying I don't do it, and basically was asking me to reconsider. So I understand what you're saying, Kim, but we have responded to everyone. It was just tonight. That's why I just said thank you, because I already expressed my opinion, but I'll think about it. And on the other one, it's hard to even respond when you've never heard anything about this. And so that's the issue.
Through the chair,
Sylvia,
I
do you
know,
understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's nothing
Not
personal,
you.
or I know you're very
Open.
well
yeah,
versed.
past practice, they waited for the
Right.
end of the meeting. It
Oh,
was just
Right,
a little
right.
bit
Yeah, and I'm
of
not
ball
talking about
busting,
you.
pretty much.
And,
so.
and if I may chime in
Go
from a
ahead.
legal standpoint, you're not under any obligation to really respond at all.
Right.
And our recommendation is always that you don't engage in a conversation because it's really an opportunity for the public to present their concerns, and you can't really respond as a unified board on the spot. So it's better to almost take the information and then deal with it appropriately, which is why your initial statement says a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
And then through the chair, I just have one more question in regards to Ms. Green. Do we or have we surveyed the teachers to see how this system is working for them? I know. Again, I know. Come on, Bert.
give me about 2 seconds here. No, we have not, since I've been here since November 9th. And that's not an issue. I would imagine, here we go, but I would imagine getting subs is a very difficult chore in every district. And usually there's not enough, number one. Number two is the situation of can you get someone who wants to be a sub-caller? You pay them a stipend. I don't know why anybody wants it. They're obviously desperate for money because you get calls at night, you get calls early in the morning. You tell your staff you got to call no later than this, and some staff members, they'll call at 2 in the morning, leave a message. They'll call at 4 in the morning and leave a message. So there are what's it called? Sources for teachers? Yes, and there are companies out like that. What they guarantee you is they can fill the spots. Now, anytime a sub comes in and the sub is below par, then the district always has a right, whether it's done in-house or outside, to say we don't want to use that person any longer. So, to answer your question, can we find out and do a little bit before next year? Yes. The question I would have to try to follow through with Ray and some other people is how successful were you in getting subs, and how many times? Because when you're doing this sub thing, you're getting subs for teachers that are taking personal days. You're getting subs for teachers that are sick. You're getting subs for teachers that are going out on conferences. And there are many days during the year, whether you use Source for Teachers or you're in-house, you don't have enough subs to cover. I mean, it's just impossible. So, again, it's the first I heard of it tonight. We'll talk a little bit about it. And obviously, Kim, yes, you can survey. That's not a problem.
And I know.
To add to what you're saying, Bert.
Kickoff is at 8:45. Yes, Madam President.
Source for Teachers guaranteed us that we would use our in-house subs. And I understand there may not be enough, they're not. My children have been on the sub list, haven't gotten called once this year. They go on the website, there's no job showing. I'm just saying.
No,
meeting
it's
to
closed, you
public.
can't get up.
We can't.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Matter of fact, we're trying to go into private session. Go ahead.
What?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
No, Sylvia said exactly what I
Okay,
said.
fine, we'll take it into account.
Okay. Motion to go into closed session?
This is yours. No?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Personnel contract negotiations and matters covered by the attorney-client privilege per NJSA 10.4-6 Open Public Meetings Act. The subject matter discussed may be disclosed to the public if and when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Actions may be taken when the board reconvenes in open session. Now we'll see you Wednesday.